Hello everyone, my name is Christian and welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are talking about a very special book today. It is Oathbound by Todd Herzman. So Todd Herzman is a self-published author. He has published four novels, full-length novels by now. Three of them are in the Hall of Fate series, and one of them, this one, is a new book in a new series called Surge Collar. So I read A Dark Inheritance last year for the 2020 bingo, and I really liked it. I put it towards the top in my tier list. If you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead and watch it. So that book was really well written. I love the characters. The pacing was just incredible. I loved how every chapter something huge was going on. So I finished the book and I recalled sending him a message on Reddit or something because he had posted A Dark Inheritance for free when it released. So I downloaded it, read it, loved it, and started talking to him. We talked about fantasy, we talked about writing. A few months went by and we were still talking. One day, I was messaged by him, and he had finished this book, Oathbound, and asked me if I wanted an advanced review copy. So I said, yeah, of course. I loved, Dark Inheritance, and I hadn't read any of his further books in that series because bingo kind of took ownership of my reading life. And then Wheel of Time now, I've been trying to catch up before the show comes out. And so, here we are now. I am here to review this. This will not be as in-depth as my written review on Goodreads and Amazon because I really wanted to delve deep into everything, every aspect in the written one. That way people can read it and, form an informed, be informed about what the book was and my reaction to it. So if they want to read it, they could. So initial reaction for this book was that it was good. I wasn't bored. I have a hard time because I definitely enjoyed A Dark Inheritance more because I really liked the characters. It started out with a bang, and the magic system was pretty cool with fire magic, but the character work was really good in it. I loved the story. I loved the plot line. It reminded me of The Odyssey, but with a lot more fire magic. In this book, the magic system is very hard, very rules-based, which I really like. It's very similar to the magic system of Avatar: The Last Airbender with the elemental magic, air, earth, fire, and water. Except you get sort of the leveling up system that Cradle has, which I really like. I love knowing exactly when characters are ready to level up. I'm a huge RPG fan, role-playing games. So I really liked those aspects. I think one of the best things about the book was that it was very well written. I definitely felt like there has been like a level up, I guess, for Todd in his writing because there were a lot of passages that I really enjoyed reading and I was kind of surprised by at times with how greatly written it was. So one thing that's different about this book than A Dark Inheritance was that I wasn't as invested in the characters. And that was one of the biggest weaknesses for this book because the setting was great, the world building was good. I really enjoyed the magic system even more than A Dark Inheritance. But the characters themselves, I didn't really feel any investment for. I we get some background for the main character, Huan, who his dad was killed while serving in the military as an Oathbound soldier, and his mother is shielding her son, Huan, from, I guess, from society because he is oathless. So he is unable to. People who are oathless in this world have to be either enslaved or be bound by an oath. And so our main character hides after the murder of his mother from the Immortal of Fire. There are 7 of them. I really liked that aspect about the whole 7 immortal kings or so having to swear to a super powerful magic user who kind of found a loophole to get more and more powerful to the point where he basically takes over the world. And so one of those 7 immortals comes to Huan's village, torches it with his giant dragon, and Huan's mother is killed. And so he runs off into the woods and just survives for 4 years. The issue that I had was that the book begins while he's in the woods, and we get everything that happens told to us in his thoughts as he's thinking about them. I think I would have felt a lot more for the character had we have seen that event, because a similar event happens in the beginning of a Dark Inheritance. My favorite thing about that book was that we had 3 POVs that constantly cycled over and over again. And so you got the older brother, the middle sister, and then the youngest brother. And you were going 1, 2, 3, back to the beginning, 1, 2, 3. And it was that, I loved that. In this book, there's only 1 POV. And so, as I was saying, in A Dark Inheritance, we see the invasion of this family's town. And it's really well written and really devastating and angering to witness. And I think had we have seen that intro event, we would have, or I would have at least, really been more invested in the character. Everyone that Huan interacts with is really cool, and I like their characters, but another issue that I had, these aren't necessarily negatives, but more things that I wished would have been handled differently, is that every character he meets that I really enjoyed and had interesting backgrounds and great characteristics, that character would either get killed or they would literally run away, like as fast as they can, by surging speed, which, you know, is fine. I like getting to know a cast of characters, and in A Dark Inheritance, we really meld really well with all of the characters. And in Oathbound, we were constantly shifting characters, and I think when it comes down to it, length is what I think holds the book back, because it's over 100 pages shorter than A Dark Inheritance, and Dark Inheritance was in the 300s on the Kindle edition. I think if the book was longer and we had more time to really, I guess, explore the plot and the characters and the themes and all that, this book would have been much stronger. It's not a bad book. There's nothing that was like making me groan or sigh. On Goodreads, I gave it three stars out of 5, which to me indicates average, meaning that there were parts that I liked, but there were things that could have been dealt with better. And I think the main part was that this book was too short, because we were just, going from one plot point to the other, and I liked all the plot points. But if you read the blurb that's on the Goodreads account, that they discuss how he becomes a slave and becomes part of a gladiator team. And that happens at like 30%, I want to say, on the Kindle edition. And we only get them in the gladiator ring twice. And then another plot happens that, our character gets involved with. One thing that I also think could have been improved upon is the antagonist. It's the Immortal of Fire who burned down our main character's home. But the issue that I had was that we didn't really have any interaction with the antagonist until towards the end of the book. I remember I was reading the book yesterday. I'm filming this on Sunday, but I finished the book yesterday morning before lunch, and I remember I was reading a part where I was like, wow, this is getting really good. And I hadn't looked at the percentage in a while, and it ended up I was in the climax, and I was like, oh shit. And so I had to quickly reset my expectations, because I thought we were in the halfway point of the book, because I didn't realize it was the climax. A lot of things were happening, so in hindsight it makes sense that it was the climax. I think length is an issue. It's the only issue in this book. I enjoyed it. I was never bored while reading it. There were a lot of different aspects where I wanted it to keep going. I really liked that gladiator storyline. I liked how when in the magic system, I think this is the first time I've read a lot of progression fantasy in recent times. Through my Kindle Unlimited, they have a lot of books on there. But one of my things I don't like in other books is that there's always the danger when leveling up that you get killed. In this book, the magic system says you're completely safe as you level up. So when our character is leveling up, no one can harm him. So there's a point in the gladiator fight when we watch a character level up and they just sit down and they get encased in a bubble. And I really like that, because there's a lot of books out there where it is the opposite, and that's when people wait to kill characters, is when they're leveling up. So overall, I would recommend this book to people. I think A Dark Inheritance is a much stronger book. That book is still one of my favorite self-published books, even to the level of Cradle. And Cradle is a really high bar to me, and Todd met it with that book. But in this book, I think length is what held back the book. And so I'm looking forward to reading book 2 of this series. I'm definitely going to read books 2 and 3 of Hollow Fate, where Dark Inheritance is book 1. I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.